guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and happy holidays to you and your loved ones. It is my absolute favorite time of year. It's Christmas time, and it's just a time of festivities and redness. As you can see, everything is red because that for me is like the color of Christmas. I love red and gold and green. That to me is Christmas. So today we are going to make some little itty bitty mini mince pies. They're not going to be like, it's a mince meat pie, little ones, but there's not going to be any meat in them. We're going to make a really delicious, almost like a fruit chutney to put in these little shells of delicious flakiness pastry that is just going to be delicious and easy to do. Now let me take you over the ingredients so you can get started. You're going to need some dried cranberries, raisins, golden raisins, dried currants, some apples that I've peeled, cored, and chopped pretty finely. You're going to need some brown sugar. This is a mixture of rum and brandy, some crystallized ginger, finely chopped, unsalted butter, some apple cider, vanilla extract, pumpkin pie spice, some clementines, and lemon. These are the ingredients you're going to need to make the actual like fruit filling for this, and then a little bit I'll show you how to make the pastry. Now, traditionally, years and years ago, mincemeat pie was made with meat, and then also, if you get the canned mincemeat mixture, which you can totally substitute in this recipe, chances are it's going to have some beef suet in there, and I don't do that. I don't put any beef in mine, just because I don't. So in this pan here, I'm putting in pretty much all of my ingredients except for the vanilla. This is going to cook up and make your house smell incredible and be the most delicious, sort of sweet and yet tangy and super flavorful mixture that is going to fill these little tart shells, which actually is just a muffin tin, and it's going to be heaven, absolute heaven. So, putting in everything pretty much, besides the vanilla, a little bit of butter, unsalted of course. Now, every time I make mincemeat pies, I always think of the movie with Johnny Depp, and I can't think of what it's called. I don't know what it's called, but I always think of when she makes the meat pies. Please tell me what that movie's called, because I'm having a brain fart right now and I can't think of it, but that's what I think of every time I make these. So anyways, putting in my zest of lemon. You can also use orange if you don't have clementines, but for me, around this time of year, I have clementines on hand nonstop because that's my thing. I just have to have it. So I'm just going to put the zest and the juice of the lemon and the clementines. That's the last of the lemon. And now finally, last but not least, well, it's not last because we still have the vanilla, but for right now, some pumpkin pie spice. Like I always said, you can buy this, in a supermarket, in a jar of it. I think it's absolutely ludicrous how much they charge for a little teeny tiny container. I'm not kidding. In my supermarket, a container this big of pumpkin pie spice is $5.99. I can make this whole thing for less than that because I always have ground cinnamon on hand, and you've got cloves and ground ginger, so it's spices I already have on hand, so I just make my own. Anyways, now to this. To this, all you want to do is give it a good stir, and this needs to come up to a boil and then simmer for about 20 minutes or until the fruit is really nice and soft and tender, and then you want to let it cool completely. And once it's cooled, I'm going to show you the next step. So while my filling is getting nice and chilled out in the fridge, you want to make sure it's completely cold. We're getting ready to make the pastry. This is a really simple and easy pastry, like a pie dough. Very easy. I'm going to make mine in my food processor because I really do think that it comes out perfect, because the thing is, you can do it by hand, but the thing about pie crust that makes it so delicious, it's the flakiness. And in order to get that flakiness, everything must be very, very cold. And if you work, with your hands, your body temperature, like the warmth of your hands, will actually melt will get the butter and the shortening to get really warm, and you don't get that flakiness. So doing a food processor really does the job for me. So we put in some all-purpose flour, confectioner's sugar, a pinch of salt, and I'm going to put the lid on and pulse this just a couple times to mix the dry ingredients together. That's good. That's plenty. Now, what I have here is some really, really cold unsalted butter and vegetable shortening. The butter gives you fantastic taste and of course a little flakiness, but it's really the shortening that gives you that sort of crisp, almost flakiness that it's just so fantastic in pie crust, in my opinion. And now to this, I also want to add in some clementine zest. Again, just because I have some, and you can always substitute with orange if you don't have clementine zest, of course. I'm going to put in the zest of a whole clementine, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to juice this like clementine in, I'm actually going to do 2 of them because I think I'm going to need more than just one, the juice of one. I'm going to juice this in a glass that I have a little bit of ice in because I want this juice to be super cold. I don't want anything getting my dough really warm, so this is a crucial step for me. I'm going to start with 1. Actually, no, I'll do 1.5 just to be ready. And that's really nice and cold. Awesome. Now set that there, put your lid back on, and you're going to pulse this with the fat only about 10 to 12 times or until the fats are nicely distributed throughout the dry ingredients and the size resembles the size of a pea, like a frozen pea. So. Now, while pulsing, you take your clementine juice 1 tablespoon at a time. You give that a pulse. You do it again. You give it a pulse because you don't want to mix this so much that, you know, again, it warms up the fats, but you don't want to put too much water because then you're going to have to go in with more flour and making it too doughy. You want it to be really light. That looks great. When you can pinch it together really easy, you can still see, if you come close, you can still see the little bits of butter and shortening in there. That is extremely important if you want to have, again, I feel like a broken record here, but it's so important because I think there's no point in making pie crust unless it's nice flaky. There's only one person in the world that uses unsalted, softened butter when she makes pie crust, and that is my Nonna, and she gets her pie crust to come out so flaky and delicious. I don't know how she does it, but it works for her. It doesn't work for me. If I do it that way, my dough just comes out not that great, just dense, and there's no flakiness to it whatsoever. There's like no life to it. So I'm just going to put it in some plastic wrap. As you can see, I'm really trying to avoid using my hands because I want those little bits and pieces, which I can still see, of the butter and shortening, and they're just so important. I'm just gathering it together. That's fine. And I'm just going to wrap it tightly in here because this has to go into the fridge and chill out for about an hour or so. And then when that happens, the filling will be ready, and I'll show you how to assemble them. My dough rested in the fridge for about an hour, and that's ready. My filling is cold, so that's ready as well. But before you get rolling, you want to make sure you have a muffin tin ready, and you want to make sure you spray it well with some nonstick spray. And then I've got a cookie cutter or a biscuit cutter. Just make sure it's about 3 inches. And then, of course, like I've seen other people do it, and I've done it for a long time myself, you got to top it with a little star, a piece of crust that you just cut out into a star. I saw Nigella Lawson do it a long time ago, and I was like, I love Nigella, so I'm going to have to do the same thing. But I often do it with little hearts as well. I just can't find my little heart cookie cutter. So anyway, you take your pie crust, which is, you can still see all the pieces of butter and shortening throughout, which is so important. And you're going to roll this out. Just make sure that you constantly keep it moving so that it doesn't stick to your surface. And I love how you can see the specks from the clementine, which I think is so fabulous. And just roll it out. And now I'm just going to cut out my rounds. And that's pretty much it for now. And now you just fit them in your muffin tin. And that's it. Now you just take some of your filling, about a tablespoon each, and you plop it right in each one. Now you can re-roll the rest of the dough and get another muffin tin ready and kind of make more of them. I personally like to have extra filling because I tell you what, for breakfast, warm it up in the microwave, put it on top of some Greek yogurt, top that with some slivered almonds. Amazing breakfast. Really delicious, really simple. I love it, and I'm sure that you will too. So I always like to have this filling on hand. So now just fill them all up. Then just top each one with a little star. Now just brush the tops with some egg wash, which is just an egg beaten with a little bit of water or milk. It doesn't really matter. And this is going to make the tops really golden brown color. And now with that remaining dough, you can freeze that. That's what I'm going to do anyway. I'm going to freeze that up. And then that way, you can actually freeze the filling as well. I'm not sure if I mentioned that already. But you can freeze the filling as well. And you can make mince pies like in a second. Just have to thaw the dough and the filling, and you'll be ready to go. Now these babies are going to go into the oven. The oven's been preheating at 400, and they're going to go in there for 15 to 20 minutes until golden brown and bubbly. Let them cool for a little bit, and I'll show you what they look like once they're done. My little pies baked for about 16 minutes actually, and they've let them cool for quite a bit, and they're done. And they look great, they smell great. I just put them on this beautiful little gold platter. I'm going to sprinkle the tops with some confectioner sugar. Oh, that looks so good. And I have got a couple left in here, so I don't have to bother that tray. This will be my personal one. I smell all the spices and the flake, like the butter of the crust immediately. It's ridiculous. Everything about this is like heaven. It's not too sweet. It's got a nice edge from the lemon zest and the lemon juice. That is a winner in my book. I'm actually going to bring these to some coworkers tomorrow because I know they're going to be quite excited to get some. They're so easy and delicious to do. A great sort of, edible gift for someone. And yeah, they're easy, they're delicious, they make your house smell good, they make you look like a pro, even though you're probably not, and I'm not, but they still make me look like I am. I hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.